Most lifters aren't missing effort. They're missing the right tools. You're showing up, pushing hard, chasing progressive overload, but gains stall anyway. Here's why. The best exercises for hypertrophy and strength training aren't always the ones trending on Instagram. They're the boring, unfashionable movements that fix weak links, improve posture, unlock better mind-muscle connection, and make your big lifts finally feel right. There's the 16 most ignored exercises that could double your gains. Not trendy TikTok moves, but genuinely underused gym exercises that deliver outsized results because they target what's quietly limiting your muscle growth. These are the workout tips that upgrade the engine behind your training. Before we start, always use proper form, start with manageable loads, and if something causes pain, stop and reassess. These aren't replacements of fundamentals. They're the missing pieces that make fundamentals work. Let's go. Number 1, Romanian deadlift, strict controlled. The strict RDL is the hamstring and glute builder most people avoid because it's slow, humbling, and doesn't look impressive. You can't ego lift it. That's exactly why it works. The RDL trains your posterior chain under lengthened tension, hamstrings and glutes stretching while loaded, which is a growth stimulus most deadlift variations skip. It teaches your hips to hinge without turning the movement into a squat or a spinal grind. EMG studies show posterior chain activation spikes when you strip away the bounce and control the eccentric. A stronger hinge means better deadlift positions, more stable squats, and cleaner athletic power. The boredom of strict RDLs, ribs stacked, spine quiet, all tension in the hamstrings, is what makes them brutally effective. Feel the hamstrings lengthen, move from the hips, and stop treating every hinge like a PR attempt. Your hamstrings will finally grow. Number 2, chest-supported row. This is a row that punishes ego. You can't bounce, heave, or turn it into a deadlift row hybrid. Chest support removes every cheat code, which is why most lifters avoid it. But if your back never grows, it's often because your back training is actually lower back fatigue training. Biomechanics research shows bent-over rows can create serious lumbar loading. Your spinal endurance becomes a bottleneck before your lats get real stimulus. The chest-supported row isolates upper back pulling and lets you accumulate quality volume with cleaner reps, more stimulus, less noise. It also exposes sloppy scapular control instantly. If you pull with arms only, you'll feel nothing. Pause the squeeze at the top. Keep your shoulders out of your ears, and pull your elbows instead of your hands. This is the row that finally builds thickness. Number 3, dumbbell pullover. The pullover looks old school and confusing. Is this chest? Lats? Ribs? So modern lifters skip it entirely. That ambiguity is exactly what makes it valuable. It trains shoulder extension, rib cage mechanics, and upper torso coordination in one movement. EMG research confirms latissimus dorsi and pectoralis major both fire hard during pullovers. It's not a fake exercise. It's a multi-muscle tension bridge. The pullover builds transition strength between pressing and pulling and improves how your upper torso stays connected under load, which can carry into bench stability and lat engagement on compound pulls. It's one of the few common gym movements that feels like you're building your entire torso instead of one isolated muscle. Move slow. Keep your rib cage controlled and stop the range before your shoulders lose position. This is the exercise that makes everything else click. Number 4, Bulgarian split squat. The Bulgarian split squat is uncomfortable, balance heavy, and it exposes left-right weakness instantly. It also looks ugly when you're bad at it, which is why most people avoid it. But if one leg is doing more work in bilateral squats, you don't notice until progress stops. Research shows Bulgarian split squats challenge unilateral strength, hip stability, and force production asymmetry in ways bilateral lifts can't. They upgrade knee tracking, hip control, and the nervous system's ability to channel force through one leg without leaking it sideways. That skill transfers to athleticism and heavy compounds. It's a quad and glute builder that also trains your body not to cheat. Own the bottom position, drive through your midfoot, and keep your hips square. The discomfort is the adaptation. If squats have stalled, this is why. Number 5, seated calf raise. Calves don't give fast dopamine, and seated raises don't look impressive compared to heavy standing raises. That's why lifters skip them. But the seated calf raise biases the soleus, the deeper calf muscle, because a bent knee reduces gastrocnemius contribution. Research comparing standing versus seated calf training found standing work grows the gastrocnemius more, while soleus changes can be similar, meaning seated work is your missing half, not a replacement. Better lower leg development isn't just aesthetics. It's stiffness and control of the ankle, which affects squat stability, running mechanics, and force transfer. Many people train calves, but never truly target the soleus. The soleus is an endurance monster. It needs patient volume and clean reps more than ego load. Pause at the top, slow the bottom, and don't bounce. Real calf growth starts here. Number 6, reverse pec deck, rear delt fly. Rear delts aren't glamorous until you already have shoulders, and the reverse pec deck is easy to do wrong and feel nothing. That's why it's ignored. But rear delts are the visual difference between big arms and a truly complete upper body. This movement fixes posture, shoulder balance, and creates the 3D shoulder effect that makes everything else look bigger. Research on reverse fly machines shows hand position can change posterior deltoid and rotator cuff activation. Tiny tweaks matter. Stronger rear delts and external rotators improve pressing mechanics and shoulder comfort. Many chest-dominant lifters grow forward rolling shoulders because their rear delts are underfed for years. This fixes that. Lead with your elbows. Keep your neck relaxed and squeeze behind the shoulder, not the traps. Rear delts are the upgrade your pressing has been waiting for. Number 7, incline dumbbell curl, long head bias. The incline curl is weaker than standing curls, and people hate feeling small. That's why they skip it. But this variation loads the biceps in a more lengthened position, shoulder extended behind the body, which increases the challenge on a long head for many lifters. EMG research shows curl variations shift biceps recruitment across angles. Most lifters only curl where they're strongest, which often means avoiding lengthened tension entirely. The incline curl rewards control, not momentum, which is why it builds arms that look different. Fuller, more complete, more three-dimensional. It's one of the easiest ways to turn arm training from ego reps into actual hypertrophy reps. Keep your shoulder back, don't swing, and let the bottom stretch stay controlled. This is what separates arms that work from arms that grow. Number 8, overhead triceps extension, cable or DB. Overhead triceps work feels awkward, and it's hard to go heavy without form falling apart. Most lifters spam pushdowns and wonder why their arms look thick from the side, but not from behind. The long head of the triceps crosses the shoulder joint. Overhead positions place it in a longer length. A controlled study found triceps hypertrophy was substantially greater after overhead cable extensions versus neutral arm position, especially in the long head, a rare direct proof moment for a bodybuilding staple. Overhead work fills a long head gap most programs ignore. This is the difference between triceps worked and triceps built. Keep your elbows in, control the stretch, and don't turn it into a shoulder press. If you want complete arm development, this is non-negotiable. Number 9, hip thrust strict pause. The hip thrust setup is annoying, and it doesn't feel like a real lift to people raise on squats and deadlifts. But EMG research shows hip thrusts can produce higher glute max activation than squats at comparable effort, and training studies show hip thrust versus squat can produce similar glute hypertrophy with different secondary benefits. Peak glute contraction under load, with less technical demand than heavy squats. Strong glutes improve posture, lockout power, sprint mechanics, and stabilize the pelvis during heavy compound lifting. The strict pause is a secret. It removes bounce and makes the glutes own the top of the movement. It's also a mind-muscle connection builder. Glutes stop being a theory and become a felt, controllable muscle. Pause at lockout. Ribs down. Feel the glutes finish the rep. If squats and deadlifts aren't building glutes, this is why. Number 10, face pull, done strict. Most people turn face pulls into a sloppy rope yank. Done right, it's light, precise, and not ego-friendly, so it gets ignored. But face pulls fix scapular control, external rotation strength, and upper back balance, the stuff that makes pressing safer and shoulders look better. The real value isn't the weight. It's the positioning skill under tension. Better scapular mechanics can improve bench stability and overhead comfort. It's a shoulder insurance premium that also builds rear delts and upper back. Most people don't have weak shoulders. They have untrained shoulder positions. This trains those positions. Pull to eye level, keep your elbows high, and finish with rotation, not just retraction. If pressing feels uncomfortable or shoulders look flat, this is the missing link. Number 11, farmer's carry. The farmer's carry looks too simple, and it doesn't fit mirror culture. You just walk. That's why lifters ignore it. But carries train whole body tension, posture, grip, and anti-lean core strength, all at once. Research on loaded carries shows meaningful trunk and core activation across locomotion and multiple planes. Grip becomes a limiter on pulls, rows, deadlifts, and even bench setup stability. Carries teach your body to stay stacked under load, which is what heavy lifting really is. It's the closest thing to real strength most gym programs never train. Carries don't build one muscle. They upgrade the system that holds everything together. Walk tall, ribs down. Don't let your shoulders creep into your ears. This is the exercise that makes every other lift feel more solid. Number 12, Nordic ham curl, assisted if needed. The Nordic ham curl is brutally hard and instantly humbling. People would rather do easier hamstring curls. But this movement trains eccentric knee flexor strength, the hamstring's braking ability. Large meta-analyses show programs, including Nordic hamstring work, are associated with substantial reductions in hamstring injury rates in sport contexts. Stronger hamstrings improve sprinting knee stability, deadlift strength, and posterior chain resilience. It builds a type of hamstring strength machines often don't. The Nordic is famous not because it looks cool, but because it works, and because it exposes weakness instantly. Use assistance if needed. There's no shame in band support or a partner catch. Control the descent, earn your range slowly, and don't rush progression. If hamstrings are your weak link, this fixes it. Number 13, back extension, glute biased. People think the back extension is a lower back exercise, so they fear it, or they do it with back-only mechanics and prove their fear right. But when done correctly, it's a hip extension pattern that emphasizes glutes. Research comparing hip extension exercises measured glute max, hamstrings, and erector activity across movements like RDLs and Roman chair back extensions, showing it can be a legitimate posterior chain builder, not just back work. It adds posterior chain volume without the fatigue cost of heavy spinal loading. It reinforces hip extension mechanics that drive squats, deadlifts, and sprinting. It's one of the best high-stimulus, lower-fatigue, posterior chain tools when executed as hip extension, not spine extension. Move at the hips, squeeze glutes at the top, and don't turn it into a back bend. This is posterior chain volume your program is missing. Number 14, lateral raise cable, not dumbbells. Cables feel light and unglamorous. Dumbbells let people swing bigger numbers. That's why the cable lateral raise gets skipped. But the cable provides more consistent tension to the range, less dead zone, more time under tension. Experimental research comparing dumbbell versus cable lateral raises suggests both can build lateral delts. The cable's real advantages often execution quality and tension profile consistency. Side delts are a visual multiplier. Big arms look bigger when shoulders frame them. The side delt doesn't need heavy weight. It needs clean tension and repeatable reps. Cable raises help lifters stop cheating and start isolating. Lead with your elbow, stop swinging, and keep your shoulder down. If shoulders look narrow, this is the fix. Number 15, ab wheel rollout. The ab wheel rollout is hard, and it exposes weak core control instantly. People would rather do easy abs that burn but don't build. But the rollout trains anti-extension strength, resisting your lower back arching under load. Research on rollout-style exercises shows high activation of rectus abdominis and obliques compared with many other core movements. A stronger anti-extension core improves bracing and force transfer in squats, deadlifts, overhead work, and carries. It trains the core like a performance tool, not a flexing muscle. Your core's main job in heavy lifting isn't crunching, it's preventing collapse. Ribs down, glutes tight, and only roll out to a range you can control, not a range you can survive. If your lifts feel unstable, this is why. Number 16, sled push/drag. The sled is conditioning, and lifters think conditioning steals gains, or their gym doesn't have one. Either way, it gets ignored. But sled work delivers high-output leg training with low eccentric stress, often perceived as more joint-friendly and less soreness-heavy than many other leg finishers. Peer-reviewed work on sled use explores performance effects. Outcomes vary by protocol, but the tool itself is legitimate. The sled builds work capacity so you can handle more quality hypertrophy volume across the week. Drags can hammer quads and glutes without the same spinal fatigue as barbell-only programs. The sled is brutal without destroying you, which is why athletes love it. Drive the ground away, stay tall, and keep steps powerful and consistent. This is a conditioning that builds muscle. These 16 exercises don't replace squats, deadlifts, bench, or rows. They make those lifts finally work. Ignored doesn't mean ineffective. Ignored often means inconvenient, humbling, or unglamorous. But the best exercises are the ones that expose what you're missing. Add even 2 or 3 of these into your program consistently, and watch weak links turn into strengths. So which one are you adding this week? Drop it in the comments. And if this breakdown gave you clarity on how to actually upgrade your training, hit subscribe. We're building a library of no-nonsense hypertrophy and strength training content that cuts through the noise. See you in the next one.